Hey, mamas. Today I want to share something different with you. A conversation where I had the mic flipped on me and was a guest on the Divorced Girl Smiling podcast. Their fearless leader and founder, Jackie Pilossoph, wanted to talk to me about an article I had written on redefining winning in divorce, which is near and dear to my heart. So I wanted to make sure that I shared it here with you. It's an important reframe, recalibrator, and reminder of what your real priorities are in this often messy and painful process. And it'll help you stay on track and not get triggered and detoured endlessly. We often associate divorce wins in obvious ways, with custody, finances, settlements, and the division of assets. But true winning is about so much more. Winning is living. It's coming back alive. It's being present with your children. It's feeling good in your skin. It's feeling aligned with your intuition. It's being able to make decisions from a calm, collected, and grounded place. It's being able to regulate your nervous system. It's being able to change the energy of your house. It's being able to show up the way you want to show up for the things that matter most to you. It's about feeling alive again and free to be you. And I know that it's hard to see that in the mess of divorce or in the chaos of considering one, but I encourage you to reconsider your goals and specifically your wins, the ones that are unfolding right now. It isn't winning to drain your bank accounts with legal fees, endlessly fighting back and forth. It isn't winning to lose your health and vitality in the process. It isn't winning to be up all night worrying about bills and the future, or losing yourself in a continuous fit of rage, easily triggered or slumping into a pile of despair. It isn't winning to witness your kids spiraling down or having no patience with them. And it certainly isn't winning to squeeze your needs right out of the equation. I'm talking about caring for yourself and honoring your needs. This isn't something to deal with later. True winning is so much bigger than bank accounts and legal docs. It's about owning and activating your intuition, learning to trust yourself, and there is no greater prize than that. At the end of the day, only you can decide what winning truly means to you. When you close your eyes, calm your nervous system, take in a big, expansive, slow breath, what do you see? More time laughing? More time being present with your kids? More time being unapologetically you? These are feelings, not things. Yes, more of that, please. That is winning. And mothers just like you are doing just that. They're divorcing smarter, healing faster, protecting their kids and reclaiming their power. Oh, and their wins. They are also saving time, money, and heartache as they go. That's winning. That's divorcing differently. That's an intuitive divorce. And I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I had having it. Hi there, mamas. Welcome to the Intuitive Divorce Podcast. I'm Kristen Noel, certified divorce coach and creator of the Best Self Intuitive Divorce, a game-changing program that transforms the experience and outcomes of divorce, one mother at a time. I call it Divorcing Differently. I'm here each week bringing you a quick message to support, inspire, and empower you to achieve the outcomes you want for yourself and your kids. So let's dive into today's episode.
So when people are going through a divorce, I think it's a natural gut instinct. Let's say they're going to court and their friends call them and they say, "Oh, good luck today. I hope you win. I hope you get what you want." And so today we're going to talk about what winning really means and how you can win even just by completely just working on yourself and taking the high road, regardless of what happens that you don't have control over. My guest in this episode is Kristen Noel, who's a certified divorce coach, a mom, the co-founder of her practice, The Intuitive Divorce. It's a 16-week coaching program for mothers. It's amazing. Hi, Kristen.
Hi, Jackie. So happy to be here with you.
I'm so glad that we're doing this. I'm really excited to have this conversation. I want to tell my listeners this winning idea was Kristen's, not mine. She wrote an article called Winning in Divorce. Kristen, don't you agree with me? Like, people say, good luck when you're going to court for
Oh,
your
yeah.
divorce.
Oh,
But
yeah.
this is
Yeah.
not about winning, is it?
No, well, I guess it's how you define winning. Now, first of all, I just love how intuitive you are and how good your instincts are because you honed in on that. This term of winning, I mean, obviously, we're positions, we're going to court. It's like a battle, it's a tug of war. But it really is the old narrative. I feel like it's the old narrative of divorce that doesn't really serve us and has like a lot of missing pieces and parts because it's just setting you up for I'm going to war. I've got to hire a shark of an attorney and it's going to be a tug of war over the kids and it's an asset grab and who gets this and who gets that. A divorce goes on for a lot longer than most people can even imagine or fathom when they land in the beginning stages of it. And so much life happens in between. There's so much in between. It feels like it's fast and furious. Like I've got to get my lawyer and I've got a meeting and I've got to fill out this paperwork. And then you go home and you've got to deal with your kids and you've got to know what to say to them and you've got to be in really good condition. You've got to be in you can't be a frazzled mess to deal with them. Otherwise, they're going to be a frazzled mess. Your house is going to be a frazzled mess. Your divorce discovery is going to be a frazzled mess. How you show up for work, you're going to be a frazzled mess. So I focus a lot on what happens in between. You know what happens in between? Life. Life is what's happening in between. And so while all of those things are so important, while the division of assets are important and the custody is important, all of that stuff, the legality, all of it's very important. And you want to have a really solid team around you. What's most important is the condition that you're in. And when I refer to winning, it is seeing that it is putting yourself back into that equation so that you can show up for all that stuff.
Okay, we're so on the same page. So I want to tell my listeners, Kristen and I have both gone through a divorce. I once wrote an article, I'm thinking back, called Don't Forget That You Have a Life During Your Divorce.
Mhm.
So isn't it funny? You just kind of said that same thing. When you're going through a divorce, it's almost like people's world stops and it consumes them. It's their identity. And like Kristen said, if you don't just stop and live your life, 3 years could go by because that's
Right.
how long it might take to get through the divorce. And you haven't even enjoyed life or grown in any way or
Mhm.
taken steps to plan and move forward of what's going to come after. Why do you think it's important to, people might say, well, I just have to get through the divorce first and then I'll figure out my life? Why is that not a good thing to say?
Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you the way I get so I work with women, mothers. So the way that I get to them, and I really drive this home, is I say one simple thing to them. Your children will only be this age once. You never get back today. You just don't get to do it over. And so are you going to put life on hold? Do they deserve to have life on hold? Now, listen, this is not rainbows and unicorns. I'm not saying, okay, we're going to make divorce a Hallmark greeting card. It's tough. It's really tough. But you know what? Life tosses us tough things. And so the skills that you acquire during divorce are really life skills. And it's okay to say, we're going through a tough time. Say this to the kids, family meeting. Life is reorganizing. We're going through a tough time, but we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out. So I think it's really important because we're modeling what it's like. Well, first of all, we're normalizing feelings. Not that you're falling apart in front of your kids, but it's okay to have feelings about things. And let's talk about it. Let's normalize feelings because if you think that you have to paste on a happy face with your kids all the time, what's the message that they're downloading? It's not safe to have feelings. I got to show up happy for everything. And you want to be able to say to your kids, let's talk about this. What are you struggling with? What can we do to get through this? Because you're also modeling how do we handle life adversity? What happens when we bump up against something that's uncomfortable?
Okay, now we're talking about how people think winning is I won custody of the kids. I I won this asset. We have a summer home and I got it in the divorce.
Mhm.
I am getting 50% of his what's it called? Pension or something like
Yeah,
that.
401k or
Whatever.
whatever it
Okay.
is.
And those are good things. And if you
Right.
feel you won, that's good. But
Right.
what are some like real wins in the divorce process?
Okay. So, and also, I love that you brought that up because the distinction I want to make is that I'm not saying be a doormat and roll over and taking the high road means like you just get everything and I'm just going to be fine with that. No, we have to advocate for ourselves. We have to stand in the conviction of what we feel is right. Defend yourself where you need to defend yourself, to protect your children where you need to protect your children. You know, every divorce, there's no cookie cutter here, right? So I think that we have to go into negotiations. I think it's about, getting to what is the motivation behind it? Is it revenge? And if it's revenge, you're going to have to live with that. Are you going to feel good with that afterwards? I always say, like, um, be the CEO of your divorce. Now, being the CEO of your divorce is not having to know all the answers. A really great CEO surrounds himself by a team of people that can advise them. And then they get all the information, they gather it, and they sit back with it and they think, this works, that doesn't work. I agree with this. I don't agree with that. I can live with this. I can't live with that. So, what it really boils down to is you're going to have a team of people. At the end of the day, they're all going to go back to their lives. The divorce is going to be over, and you're going to be left to live with the decisions that you've made and the choices that you made. And you want to make sure, especially when there are children involved, am I using them as pawns? Am I trying to win custody? What does winning mean? What is winning custody? So putting the custody issue aside, putting the money issue aside, just getting to your question, real winning is healing in divorce. Real winning is living in divorce. Real winning is finding joy. Now, again, it's not a Hallmark greeting card. I'm not saying like you're just going to wake up and everything is like, perfect. You're dealing with some tough stuff, but you still want to show up and say, what can I do today to just feel good? To feel good in this house, to feel good with my kids, to show up for them the best I can. There's so many ways we win by living, by healing, by reclaiming lost pieces and parts of ourselves, and especially mothers. Mothers, I always say there's a long runway to divorce. Even if there's some big event that explodes the marriage, it didn't just happen overnight. There's been a runway. And somewhere along the line, we typically lose pieces and parts of ourselves. We pretend we don't see something, we don't acknowledge something, we don't hear something, we don't feel something. We're going to fix it, we're going to make it better. It's not bad enough. And then one day we wake up and it's like we don't recognize who we're looking at in the mirror. And it feels like you're like this stranger. How do I get back to myself? Winning is reclaiming those lost pieces and parts of yourself.
And getting empowered.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Divorced Girl Smiling podcast. My name is Jackie Pilossoph, and I'm your host. Today, I'm here with Kristen Noel, who is a certified divorce coach, a certified intuitive divorce coach, a mom, and the co-founder of Intuitive Divorce, a coaching program for moms during and after divorce. We are talking about winning in divorce, what it is and what it isn't. We're going to take a short break. And when we come back, I'd like to focus more on what winning really is, because that's what I think people need to hear. But they should hear what winning isn't, because I don't know. It's easy, so easy. And I'm not judging. I did it myself to say, oh, I won my court. Nobody wins. We're not in it to win. You're here to have a good life and a good life for your kids. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Divorced Girl Smiling podcast. We're talking about winning. And I keep thinking of, remember, Charlie Sheen? He was like winning and he went on this winning tour and he was really messed up. I don't know if you ever have seen his interviews now. He just came out with a documentary and he's been sober for 8 years and he's talking about how that winning tour was just absolutely ridiculous and he wasn't winning anything. I don't know why I thought of that.
Actually, I love that you bring up that point because really what it is it's dodging feelings. He was using alcohol or drugs or whatever it was to dodge feelings, not feel feelings. And when we're in a divorce, there's so much hurry up and rush and fight over this and fight over that. And I've got to win this case and I've got to win this suit and blah, blah, blah. What's happening in between? How are you feeling? How are you living? How is your health? How is your spirit? How's the energy of your house? How are your kids doing? And none of this gets to, you don't get to put any of this on hold. You can't say like, "Hey kids, listen, mommy will be back when this is all over," and you can't,
Yeah.
and you also can't say to your self-care, "Hey body, hang in there. I'll get back to you." It's just not the way it works. And so I try to beat this drum. I know divorce is overwhelming. Your plate is full. And the thought of, oh yeah, now I'm supposed to fill in some self-care and I'm supposed to whatever. Well, actually it's strategic and it's really not a choice. If you have an empty pitcher, you have nothing to pour. You have nothing to pour into your children, nothing to pour into your future, nothing to pour into your own health. So
Funny, I've had people say to me things like, "I just don't have time for therapy. I made an appointment, but I had to cancel because of work and my divorce was too busy." Or, I tried to get massages, but I just can't fit them in. But it's strategic, like you said. You have to fit that in because
Mhm.
without those things and the support that you're talking about, you're just not going to be able to win anything. You're going to
Mhm.
be losing your health and your happiness and your goals to have a good life and your kids being in a healthy place. So you're right. You have to make time for all that stuff.
And I don't glorify divorce. I'm not a proponent of divorce, but I'm a proponent for healthy relationship. And healthy relationship starts with self. And there's just no way around it. And I know I was definitely one of those people that was like, I don't have time for this. I don't have to, the fact of the matter is, we have time for what we want to have time for. And when we actually lean into that unfamiliar territory and we make some time for ourselves and we begin to feel the benefits. And again, I'm not saying run off on a yoga retreat in Costa Rica. Start small, start manageable, start with something that, like, I started with just waking up early. And, for me, writing was like medicine. So I just thought, I'm going to get up early when it's still dark with a cup of coffee, light a candle, go in my office. The whole house was still sleeping and write. And sometimes it was just 20 minutes. But let me tell you something. Those 20 minutes gifted to myself changed the trajectory of my day and how I showed up. Because when I filled my cup just in the teeniest little way, I went downstairs and met the day and my family and my obligations and my responsibilities, just standing on a different foundation. And when you start to do little, little things like that for yourself, and then you begin to thread them together, you really start to realize this is working. This feels so much better. I can take care of myself and do hard things.
I just love this. Let me go back to the whole winning thing and why people feel like it's a win, like that they're in a battle to win or lose. Is it because you get divorced and at the beginning, especially, there's so much anger, so much resentment, an expectation really that, oh, you're in a court battle. So of course you're going to be thinking winning and losing. Is that where this winning attitude comes from?
So, of course, when you mention court, that just, we immediately associate that with a battle. Hopefully, and I really try to keep my clients out of court. For me, when we end up in these like useless court battles, this continuous like fighting, really the crux of that for me is that there's so many unresolved issues and feelings there that a lot of times just don't even have to do with the other person. From just going back to my own divorce, in the beginning, it was very easy to tell the story. I was victimized. He did this, and then he did that. And this is the story that I kept telling. And then I finally got tired of telling that story after a while. And as opposed to the way you take back your power, as opposed to saying, he did this and he abandoned me, I began to say, where did I abandon myself? Now, I'm not justifying any of his actions, but I don't control his actions. I control my reactions. I control what I'm going to do with that. And for me, that was just intel. I see where I pretended I didn't see this. And that was really major intel for me to start a healing journey, just my own. And again, it's over time. I don't expect a mother that's going through divorce to just be in some intensive therapy, but just it starts by taking a step to realize I want to shift. I want to shift my life. I want to shift whatever it was that led me to here because I don't want to end up in another divorce. And if we don't pay attention to this stuff, if we don't heal, if we don't get real with ourselves and what we do control, we're kind of headed on that path again.
Okay, I am so loving this, and when you were saying, how you said, well, oh, um, taking accountability, really.
Right.
I remember thinking when I finally got it together, wish I would have had a divorce coach. There was no such thing like
I
that
know.
in 2008. But I remember really when I got it together, I said to myself, well, I'm the one who allowed this behavior all this time. Now, that doesn't mean I was beating up on myself. I forgave myself for doing
Mhm.
that. But just saying, I allowed him to treat me this way. I put up with stuff that I really shouldn't have
Mhm.
and take all the accountability. Not that it makes it right that he did any of that, but if you take accountability without judgment and if you engage in forgiveness with that,
Mhm.
then that's the only way to make the changes that you really make and not end up dating the same person or going through another divorce.
But this is so gorgeous what you just said, because what you're really saying is this is how we learn, this is how we become, this is how we grow into the people we're capable of being and we want to be and how we want to show up in the world. We don't come out of the womb like perfect people. It's just not possible. We're going to bump up against something. But, it's how we perceive it, how we perceive this is the end of the world. I'm in this pit of despair. Or, okay, this sucks. And now what? What can I do with this? What can I do with this? What can I learn about myself? And as you so beautifully said, no shame, no judgment, no guilt, no beating up on self. And again, this doesn't happen overnight. But when you start to think in these terms, when you bump up against something, a disappointment, you say, okay, what am I going to do with this? Why is this happening? What can I learn from it? What is it here to teach me? What can I take from it? There's so much juice in there. When we change the lens we're looking through.
Okay, now I have gotten to be in my older age, as I've gotten older, very spiritual. And I think it's a great comfort to people because if you think about it, if you're a spiritual person, God doesn't expect perfection. And God put us in this world knowing that we were going to make huge mistakes, many, many, many of them. So, for people out there who are feeling guilty or like a failure, or you're mad at yourself, I mean, Kristen, is there anything good that comes from that line of thinking?
No, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. Listen, divorce is an ending, but it's also a beginning. It's a beginning, and just because you're in a divorce doesn't mean that there wasn't love or that there weren't good things. Um, but it is an ending. And now what? What do you want? It's actually a blank white canvas that you get to paint on. And you get to decide, who am I going to be in this next chapter? How am I going to show up? How do I want to mother? How do I want to be a friend and a daughter? This is winning when you start asking these questions and you actually start nurturing yourself and you start allowing yourself to heal. That's what winning is. Winning is coming back alive.
Okay, now people might be listening to this going, well, I have a blank white canvas, but I have no idea what that looks like. I don't know what I want. I don't. This is the reason, if you're listening, that divorce coaching is a must. It's a
Mhm.
must. I would say it is just as important as therapy, maybe even more.
Well,
Everybody
yeah,
says,
I mean,
"Oh,
also,
therapy, you need therapy." This is very important because if you don't know what you want, divorce coaching will help you figure that out.
and I mean, divorce, this is our lane. It's nuanced. So yes, there's definitely crossover, but this is, it's kind of like I always used to say, like, I don't really want to go to merit to and no disrespect to priests or religious leaders, but like I didn't want to go, like I grew up Catholic. I didn't want to go to a Catholic priest for like marital advice. He wasn't married. It was like I want to go to someone who's walked in these shoes, you know, and those are some uncomfortable shoes. But so divorce coaches are nuanced. They know the ins and the outs. They have clients in all sorts of scenarios, dealing with all kinds of circumstances. You want someone that, like I always say, we're the guardrails. We're really just propping them back, walking alongside them, reflecting back to them, giving them so many tools and strategies that, so much gets unpacked in our program. I mean, we are dealing with nervous system regulation. We are dealing with boundaries. We are dealing with triggers. This is the safe space and container for women to gather and to come together and to sort of like allow themselves to explore what's coming up for them and to get underneath that and find out what is their why. Why is this coming up? Where else has this come up? What is this? What else? Where does this, go back to? And I'm not expecting you to do like, an archaeological dig of your entire life, but it's pretty fantastic when you start threading the pieces and the parts of your life together, not, as you say so beautifully, in judgment, but actually in awe. Wow, I had the courage to get a divorce, or I've had a courage to lean in and divorce differently. And I want a better path to a better divorce.
I love this. Okay, can you believe we're out of time? This went by so fast. And I really wanted to get into what winning is specifically, even more examples than what we talked about. But I want to tell everyone go to intuitivedivorce.com and you can read this article on winning in divorce. So, Kristen, thank you so much for taking time to talk about this very important topic.
I love chatting with you anytime.
I know, same, and we have
I
so
know.
much in common, like, with the writing early in the morning. I was doing the
Yeah.
same thing, and writing is a wonderful tool in coping with divorce. If you want to talk to Kristen, you can find her at intuitivedivorce.com. You can also find Intuitive Divorce in the Trusted Professional section of Divorced Girl Smiling, which is divorcedgirlsmiling.com. And you can go to the site also to listen to more podcasts, read articles, or view my list of 80 trusted, vetted divorce professionals, such as financial advisors, divorce lawyers, mediators, real estate agents, and more. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you real soon.
Thanks for listening to today's episode, but more importantly, for making this time for yourself. If you're a professional, independent mother facing off with divorce, struggling with your emotions, worried about your kids and your future, and want a better way to navigate it all, I've got 2 ways to completely change the trajectory of your divorce and your life starting today. The first is our free divorce workshop. In this training, you'll learn the 3 steps to get off the emotional roller coaster and take control of your divorce so you can save time, money, and heartache for you and your family. Simply go to intuitivedivorce.com/workshop. And the second way is to book a free strategy call with our team, where we'll dive into your situation, your struggles, what you really want, and outline a path to get you there. For a short video and the booking link, go to intuitivedivorce.com/call. Check it out, and I'll see you inside. Now I have a favor to ask you, Mama. If you enjoyed this conversation and were inspired in your own divorce, please subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss future juicy talks. And I'd be so grateful if you'd leave a review so together we can help other mamas walking in the same shoes.